Sorry about that.
Okay, so we do it. Okay, so you were here.
Let's have someone else second.
Okay, let's have another second.
Second, the approval of the minutes and the study session.
Okay, we have a motion by Smith and a second by Mr. Crandall. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain because I was absent. With that, oral or written communication. Members of the audience may address the commission on matters of public interest which pertain to the city and are not otherwise on our agenda tonight. If you wish to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and make a presentation, and please limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone?
I have a question for you. Did the minutes approval, did it include both the study session and the?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the motion.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we have Erlana Schwartout?
Close enough.
Okay.
Okay, hi, Erlanda Swarthout. I live in North San Clemente, Compass Point neighborhood in Forester Highlands. I'm representing quite a few of my neighbors. The topic is in regard to the new Del Rio extension. We have gathered as neighbors with our homeowners association. They have made attempts to contact the city and various departments about issues with excessive speed. With all of the construction that is going on, my mind is absolutely blown how people can drive 50 miles an hour through my residential neighborhood, pass me by, honk at me because I refuse to take a hard right into the bike lane to turn into my home. It's kind of turned into a little bit of a gauntlet, and I worry for the safety of my children when they're crossing for school in the morning. I worry for the safety of my neighbors if they go faster than what I approve because I may chase them down. I am at my wit's end. Have contacted the police to notify them. It would be a goldmine of ticket writing. So much money for the city because of all of the laws that are just blatantly being broken. With the 2 roundabouts that are being currently installed, what I am amazed by is why no 3rd roundabout was put up at the top of the hill. That is where cars are gaining speed coming down the hill. Can't have speed bumps because it would impede the fire trucks and emergency services. I beg you for a stop sign, something. Someone is going to get hurt. God forbid it be a child. There is no safe crossing anywhere in the middle. My homeowners association has explained, potentially because they are afraid that it will create an environment where a child will think that they are safe going through a crosswalk. My hope is that at least having a designated crosswalk will also alert drivers of the potential of someone coming into a crosswalk. We have them over by the school. The speed limit there is posted at, I believe, 30 miles an hour. I have witnessed cars in excess of 70 miles an hour going up and down Camino del Rio. I have cars on video that I have recorded. Occasionally, the speed indicators are placed, and they are always removed on the weekends. So I'm hoping that there can be some solution. I have taken a petition that I have submitted to the traffic engineer requesting that a 3rd roundabout be installed. Understanding the expense of that, or we would be open as citizens a solution that is going to curb the speeding. And I realize that we cannot have a police officer present at all times. So thank you for your time.
Have you
Appreciate your hearing
contacted
out.
the city traffic engineer by any chance?
Multiple times, sir.
Mr.
And I have also submitted a petition with over 20 signatures. I was basically told, I think her name is Jennifer Rosales, that the more signatures I can collect. Now, I'm a real estate agent. I'm very familiar with the door knocking process. But in my neighborhood, there's over 617 homes. It would take me a long time.
I don't know why you would need more than 20 signatures. Something like that should be,
They told me it could be up to 60 days. Do I hit the red button?
No.
It would be over 60 days before they would even get to the point where the city council would be able to approve. Again, I'm extremely concerned for the safety.
I would also recommend you go to city council and do the same thing you did with us tonight.
This is my first start, and I
Okay.
plan to show up with more
Don't
people
stop
in
here.
tow.
And the next Tuesday opportunity in June or whatever, I would go to city
Or
council.
with mayor hours.
Yeah.
On Monday.
Mayor hours on Monday? Okay.
Yeah.
You call the city manager's office, you talk to the city manager's secretary, Veronica, and she'll put you on the schedule for the mayor's office with Mayor Ward.
I look forward to it.
It's only Mondays at Monday afternoons.
Monday afternoons. I can make that work. I have
Okay.
flexibility. Thank you so much.
Amber, check the CIP tonight. Apparently this is on the radar already because there's one item that is radar speed signs on Del Rio.
They are there. They remove them on the weekends, though.
No, this is a permanent signage. It's in
Oh,
this-
permanent sign. Well,
So somebody's
Capital
aware
investment
of
program.
something going on.
even with the speed indicators, you know, I've thought I'd love to roll out spike strips just to teach someone a lesson. It's infuriating because I, as a pedestrian doing that walk, a lot of neighbors, we always enjoyed hiking through there. Now this road goes through, it's inevitable. We knew it was eventually going to come. But, you know, people are out there with their dogs. People have headphones in their ears. People are active and enjoying their time. And
Okay.
I couldn't cross safely the other day. It was a shame.
Please take it forward.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, there's no items on our consent calendar tonight, so we'll get into public hearings with a time limitation for applicants of 10 minutes and all other speakers 3 minutes. The first item on our subject tonight is item 8A, Cultural Heritage Permit, 15276 SPP, 152-77, 121 Avenida, Granada, Thomas Building. So, Mr. Cliff?
All right. Good evening, Chair Brown, Commissioners. I'm pitching in for Leonie. She couldn't make it this evening. This is a request to construct a 1,002 square foot office building in our downtown. The site is located at 121 Avenida, Granada, and the site is currently vacant. It's a typical downtown lot sized at 4,000 square feet. The zoning is downtown mixed use, MU 3.1. It is in our architecture overlay, which does require Spanish colonial revival architecture. As you can see in this proposal slide, unfortunately this isn't in color, but the building is designed in Spanish colonial revival architectural style. It has your traditional barrel tile roof, smooth white stucco, wrought iron light fixtures, and windows with divided lights. This slide's probably a little hard for you to see, but the project, as you read in your staff report, does meet all the development standards of the ordinance. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the project as proposed, and staff, as well as the applicant and architect, are available to respond to any questions or comments that you have.
Do you have,
Thank you.
Does the commissioners have any questions of staff? Commissioner Blackwell?
I do. Yes, Cliff, is it, so in the agenda, it indicates 102 square foot, is 100, or 1,002, is 1,002 or 1,001 is indicated on the drawing, T1?
You know what, there was a revision.
1 foot, but I just wanted to know if
Sure.
something changed.
There was a revision to the plan at some period in time. It may have decreased by 1 square foot. Yeah, after a design review subcommittee review, they did reduce this building by 1 square foot.
Okay, and then 2 more questions. Why did we go from a magnolia to a carrotwood? Why
There-
was that change made?
Excellent question. So it was basically on the design. Our design guidelines specify certain type of tree species that are encouraged or recommended, and that was the transition was to reflect what our design guidelines and the allowable tree species do recommend. So
Okay,
it's the new species is the recommended species.
That's on frontages, right?
Yes.
Oh, so we changed the tree in the back as well? Or was that always a carrotwood?
You know, I'd have to defer to the applicant. Unfortunately, I just don't have that history. So
Not super important, but I just was wondering with the rationale, and you've explained why, at least it's applicable to the frontage. And the rear sconce that's being proposed seems more arts and crafts rather than Spanish colonial. It's a nice looking sconce, and as well, the pendant as well that's hanging in the front is a different style than the sconces in the front. So I'm wondering, was that a design review subcommittee directive, or is that something that the applicant wanted? Was that always part of the proposal?
You know, there is your typical condition of approval on this project that does require all exterior details to be reviewed and approved by planning prior to purchase and installation. If there is a specific preference of the commission, that would be good to indicate, but we actually did not get into the specifics of the sconce on this project, from what I can recall.
Yeah, there is a detail on one of the sheets that does show that, it's A2. It shows the sconce and the pendant, and I feel comfortable with the DRC looking at this and approving it. We've got some architects on the committee that know their stuff, but I wanted to bring that out and talk about it as a group and just get clarification on why we chose two different architectural styles for the sconces. The back is one issue, but it's in the front, and we have the two entry sconce are clearly the Spanish colonial, and then we have the pendant that is, it looks to be arts and crafts style. So I'm wondering if you had any, was there any
Unfortunately,
record?
since I'm not the project planner, I don't have the history there, but perhaps the applicant can shed some light, and if the commission does have a preference, I would agree that it would be best to have a consistency.
Okay. We'll save that for the applicant then, or discussion. Good catch.
Thank you.
Does the applicant, is there any other questions of the city planner or the staff? Does the applicant like to step forward and make any comments? Would the applicant care to make any discussion at all, or make?
Alex Faulkner, the designer.
Okay.
We don't object to the sconces in the front became after the one in the back and the one in the tower, and we don't object to switching the one in the tower in the back to match the ones in the front, to make it more consistent.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the applicant? Anything else you'd like to make about the project at all?
No, I think it fits the lot well. I think the size fits the scale of the community and the lot and the purpose.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you. Appreciate your flexibility on the design detail. Is there anybody that wishes to make open the public hearing, and does anybody want to have would the public like to make any comments on this project? And Madam Secretary, do we have any cards at all? With that, we'll close the public comment and enter into discussion with the Planning Commission. So,
This is the type of project that we need downtown. Many times we hear, well, we have to put a higher density building in, we have to put 2 stories in order to make it work. This shows that in fact we can do it with 1 story on those small lots and still have an economically viable building. So I'm very encouraged that in fact we can do this, and I'm in full support of this project.
okay. Any other discussion? Well, with that, we'll make a motion along with the addition
I
of the
will make
sconces
a
or
motion
whatever.
that we approve a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Clemente, California, approving Cultural Heritage Permit 15276 and Site Plan Permit 15277 Thomas Building, a request to allow the construction of a new office building on a vacant lot located at 121 Avenida, Granada, and that is resolution number PC 17013, with direction to planning staff to make sure that the lighting is consistent throughout the building to match what's on the front elevation.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Crandall, second by Commissioner Eggleston. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Good luck. Thank you. Done. Yeah. Okay, we'll go on to item 8B. Conditional use permit 16433, 1640 North El Camino Real, La Colombiana, and restaurant. Welcome to.
I just wanted to take a minute. I don't know if all the planning commissioners know our newest assistant planner,
Yeah.
but this is Linda. Linda comes to us luckily from the county of San Diego. We're very excited to have her on staff, and she has several years down there, and Thank you so much. We're very excited to have her on
Does she
board.
know the tradition of what new planners do?
I wasn't going to uphold that tradition in this sense. We are very grateful she's here.
Yes, we are. Welcome.
I'll
Thank
get
you.
on your calendar for a one-on-one session with the
That
city
sounds
planner for going forward. Okay. She'll tell you what the tradition used to be, and we'll reimpose it, but you're slipping through the cracks. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chair Brown. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Linda Vo, the project manager for the conditional use permit 16-443 La Colombiana Restaurant. So this request is to consider new services at a restaurant to include sales of a full range of alcohol for indoor and outdoor consumption and establish indoor live entertainment with no amplified sound. The project is located at 1640 North El Camino Real, Suite A. It's in the North Beach mixed-use zone with the pedestrian and architectural overlay. La Colombiana Restaurant is a boutique-style restaurant that began operating in July 2014. Prior to operating, it did obtain an approval for a minor conditional use permit to allow the sale of beer and wine for indoor and outdoor on-site consumption. The restaurant has 4 indoor seats and 4 outdoor seats. The applicant is now requesting a conditional use permit for the sale of a full range of alcoholic beverages for indoor and outdoors on-site consumption and live entertainment with no amplified sound. The hours of operations are proposed to extend by an hour. As you can see, Monday through Sunday, it will be open from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., but outdoor consumption of alcohol will be limited to the hours of 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. The seatings will remain as previously approved at 4 indoor seats and 4 outdoor seats. Here, it's a little difficult to see, but this is the floor plan that is being proposed. Highlighted in yellow is the designated live entertainment area. The space is 4.5 feet by 6 feet for a total of 27 square feet.
Can you hold on that chart a minute, because it's also on the main plans, about and explain the handwritten part, acoustical live entertainment?
Correct.
Acoustical, but not amplified?
Correct.
Could you define what acoustical is?
They're alluding to the fact that a speaker is identified at the entertainment area.
Yes.
See, there is a speaker too, so that's where when I see these comments on the drawing, that's one of the questions I think everybody has here.
Acoustical is without a microphone and without speakers. If you have a speaker and if you have a microphone, that is amplified music. This is not permitted under this conditional use permit.
But that's what the drawings are noted.
Correct, Chair Brown.
And the main drawing is also.
And we can take a look at the conditions to make sure that those are very crystal clear on what is not allowed and what is allowed under this permit. So what you guys discuss, we'll look at that.
Okay. We'll work on the conditions then, thank you. Okay, continue, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was burning on everybody's lips here.
Yes.
The addition of a full range of alcohol is not anticipated to generate greater noise impacts to the neighborhood, as alcohol, the beer and wine, is currently permitted. As you can see in this table, the hours of operation and service of alcohol ends earlier what they're being proposed compared to similar uses within that North Beach mixed-use zone. As you can take a look at the chart, Casino and Knucklehead Bar is within close proximity, and they're actually allowed full alcohol with live entertainment amplified sound, and their hours are allowed until 2 a.m. in the morning. The proposed indoor live entertainment with no amplified sound will occur during the proposed business operating hours from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the restaurant meets all parking requirements, and there are no modifications being proposed. So based on the information in the staff report and subject to the required findings and conditions of approval, staff is recommending approval for the following reasons. The project is an ancillary use provided at an existing restaurant. The hours of operation is comparable to other similar uses that have indoor and outdoor service of a full range of alcohol and live entertainment in the area. Beer and wine is currently permitted to be served at this location, and there has not been any code enforcement cases or complaints related to the existing use and service. So there are no modifications being proposed to the total number of seats of the existing restaurant or occupancy, so therefore the number of persons to be offered an alcoholic beverage will not increase. This concludes my presentation for conditional use permit 16-443. Staff and myself, the applicant, Harold Lazare, is available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, start with Commissioner Eggleston.
You know, I've eaten there before, and there's, my recollection is there's more than 4 seats inside and more than 4 seats outside in the past. I know I drove by last night, and there were 2 tables outside with a total of 4 seats, but my recollection is there's a lot more than 4 seats inside.
Correct, and I'm made aware of that, and I have reminded the applicant of what they have been approved, that it's 4 indoor seats and 4 outdoor seats. Should they propose additional, they would require to be added or amendment if this conditional use permit is approved.
To me, it's big enough inside to have more than 4 indoor seats. Is that because of the parking requirement?
It is partially, but under the previous minor conditional use permit, it was considered expanding, but due to the restaurant, or the restroom was.
Yeah, I can add some insight because I actually worked on the original MCUP, and it was actually because of the plumbing code, so they were limited based upon the restroom facility that they had. Their occupant load was restricted as well. So there's parking, but you also had plumbing code as well. So.
Yeah, it seems to me that the applicant would want more than 4 indoor seats for something like that.
Plumbing code restricted.
How can that be amended?
That's correct. So there hasn't been an amendment to the approval. So if the applicant had more than 4 indoor seats and 4 outdoor seats, they were in violation of their previous use permit.
Okay.
How can that be amended so that they can get more than 4 seats inside?
They could bring their plumbing fixtures up to date if they have more, as I understand it, and if they had additional restrooms, then they could have more persons inside the building. And I believe the applicant said that they're looking to expand to the building next door, and that might be a possibility as part of it, but right now they are limited based on the building code, not on zoning requirements.
Gosh, I don't see how a restaurant can survive with 4 seats like that inside and 4 seats outside. I mean, this is a popular restaurant. It's a wonderful restaurant. It's very popular.
The building needs help.
Yeah.
It's the only business in that building right now. So if they're expanding, that would be a good thing for them.
Well, I'm not going to comment upon the adjacent space. But,
So, other questions this is to staff, right? You have anything?
Yeah.
So
No, I don't have any more
limitation, basically restroom limitation. Commissioner Wackwell.
Yes. Okay, Linda, do you have the site plan in a form that you can put up on the screen? Do you have these drawings in PDF?
I only have the floor plan. I do not have the full site plan.
I'm looking at the T1 sheet. My questions are as follows. I guess we can all just look at the paper. I just wanted the public to be able to see this as well. But a couple of notes here I need some clarification on. Note detail 7 indicates that that's an accessible path of travel. But if you go to the site, it appears, and in this picture you can see where the use stop in that. Well, in the last picture, you can see where the use stops. The edge of the building is the white wall, and then you have the adjacent use is a different color. So that area right there, to me, appears to be in the planter area. Is that correct? It's currently a dirt planter area. Are you familiar with it? I went out to the site today and looked at it, and unless I'm really missing something here, it looks like that area indicated as a accessible path of travel is currently a planter area in front of another use, another building, or the neighbor. So I just need clarification on that. And while you're looking at that, there's a detail 13 that points to the area where the outdoor seating is, yet there's no explanation that I could find on this sheet as to what that detail is supposed to be. property, obviously a concrete pad, but I wanted to know what the associated note was for that detail.
Maybe we can clarify a couple things. I don't believe any additional ADA requirements are being triggered by this specific application because there's no changes to this. So ADA would have been looked at with any tenant improvements previously that they had applied for.
Okay.
And then to the second one, I just want to verify that I understand your question about the outdoor dining area.
Yeah.
You're going to have to elaborate a little bit. What area are you? What was the question?
So on the T1 sheet, there's a note that indicates it's number 13 on the sheet on the T1, but there's no key. That
Oh.
explains what that's
Plans are
supposed to be.
incomplete.
Right, the plans are incomplete.
Michael Luna never misses something like that.
No surprise. The other and final comment I have in question is that there's also an indication on the T1 that a new railing will be installed, a 42-inch railing. I'm wondering if the Design Review Subcommittee had a chance to look at that because it is an architectural detail. It is a use that fronts on to North El Camino Real and the architectural overlay. So I'd just like to know if there's any discussion or details in the record that we can review.
I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Cliff because he knows this.
Yeah, if I could add, so to save costs, the applicant did utilize some plans for some previous tenant improvement. So that was basically the old the railing that is there now currently. So they did do some reuse of plans and not a full update of plans.
So it's not a new railing, it's the old, just.
It's the
forgot to strike that out.
existing
Okay.
railing, correct?
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Would the applicant like to make any statement?
Good evening. My name's Harold Alzati, and my mom is Eddie. It's her restaurant. I help her with it and help her do the construction and everything. I do construction here in town. First, I want to thank everyone, the Planning Commission, taking time and always trying to look in the best interest of our city, beautiful city. And as far as the restaurant, you know, we were very fortunate. I opened this for my mom. It was always her dream, and you know, and it started out pretty well, and then started getting more and more popular. And to answer your question, we ended up with a few more tables inside. People started bringing their own tables. They really did. They said, well, you know, you don't have any more seats. I said, I know, that's all we're approved of. So they brought tables, and we have a mismatch of tables inside, and that's how it kind of expanded it a little bit inside. We have more tables. What we are currently working on is we're talking to the tenant, not the tenant, the landlord, for two things. A, to expand it, and B, to purchase the building. And I've talked to Cliff about this. We purchased building. I'm very self-conscious of what I build here in town, and I really like the Spanish colonial architecture that we have here. So I propose if we're able to buy the building, we're going to do a remodel with the exterior and kind of bring it like Spanish colonial tile, something that'll fit in. I'm looking down the line at what might happen with the movie theater and the bowling alley, and I would like something to fit right into that area. That's kind of my thought. So I just.
So you had discussions with the owner, or you're planning on it, I guess?
To purchase it, we have an offering. We put an offer in.
You made an offer to the owner?
We made an offer to the owner to purchase the building.
Waiting for an answer, I suppose.
We're waiting for an answer, yes.
Are you aware that conditional 15 of this permit is non-amplified live entertainment shall be conducted until 11, so it's very specific in the conditional use. It's non-amplified, even though there's an acoustics and a speaker there. So as a result of this passing, you know, you're back under the microscope of code enforcement here. So going forward, I would make sure what you've written down on your drawings versus what's the conditional use.
Yeah,
15, okay?
When you brought that up, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask, because my interpretation of acoustical was no electric guitars or anything like that. I was thinking more of an acoustical guitar. I mean, you know, if they use a microphone or something, you know, wasn't that's not what I was thinking. So I think
Yeah.
No, Commissioner Eggleston's right on the definition of what amplified sound means. So
Okay.
right on the money as far as a city definition of what that means. So it's not speakers and it's not any amplifier.
Microphone.
No microphones, okay?
Okay.
Commissioner Eggleston, your light's on, you want us to pass?
Yeah, just so you understand, that if you put music in there with a speaker and a microphone, it's amplified music, and you'll be in violation of your conditional use permit.
Yes,
You understand that?
yes.
I'm just concerned, this is such a wonderful restaurant and a very popular restaurant, and I just cannot imagine having only 4 seats inside and 4 seats outside. It would seem to me that you need to really do something with whatever you need to do to get more seats inside, because I just don't buy the argument that people bring their own tables in. You know, I don't buy that argument. I think that even if they brought their own tables, then that's still not permitted.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not permitted under this. And it just seems to me that you would want to do all you possibly can to improve the facility so that you could bring in more tables.
That's what
This
I'm
is an incredibly popular restaurant.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, it's all my mom's recipes.
Oh, I know.
And
She's perfect in there. She's
Yeah,
very concerned about every detail, and I can't imagine that you could have any sort of profit whatsoever with only 8 seats in that restaurant.
That's my goal, and I will make it happen. We will purchase the building. And it's just, it's going to
Good luck with the owner.
Yeah, she's a little difficult to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to come up here.
Please come up forward if you'd like to speak. I see you down there, Michael, so I'll get to you.
I still see what it is. Okay, you say you're concerned about, oh, good afternoon, I'm so sorry. Thank you for listening to us. The concern about you inside is no more space to put any more right in this minute. That's already fits there. So there's no way we can put more tables
But you've had more tables
inside.
there.
Pardon me?
You've had more tables.
No, inside, no, that's all we have.
Well, you had more tables because I was in there before.
No, we had the bar, little bar.
Uh-huh.
That's the counter and the little counter in here, and the tables. Nothing else fit there, sir.
Okay.
We had the 4 tables outside. Sometimes.
4 tables
But
outside.
inside
I
is
think
no.
I misunderstand. You're saying that, what he's saying is we're not allowed to have more than 2 tables in the inside. We have more than 2
I thought he said we only had 4 tables inside.
No, 4 seats.
4 seats.
Oh, 4 seats. So I screwed up. I did. No, because he keeps saying
limits are
about
the
the
limits.
seat inside.
I'm sorry, 4 seats inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. And you need more than 4 seats inside. It's a great restaurant.
And this is all part of the bigger picture, the bigger plan down the road.
Yeah, because if we get a extension, then we can do a little bit more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Okay,
I
thank you.
misunderstood. Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith, you have a question of the applicant?
Yeah,
Not so fast.
yeah, you might want to stay there because I'm very troubled about the occupancy issue here. You're coming to us to put entertainment there to draw more people, alcohol to draw more people. I've been to your restaurant twice. It's a good restaurant. The food's wonderful. But I know that you have much more than 8 people in that restaurant. And so I'm going to ask the city, what's the issue here? Because if they are limited to 8 people in this restaurant, what can they do to increase that? And if they can increase it, then what do they have to do? Do they have to live with 8 occupants? Because there's clearly more than that at the restaurant. There's no doubt about it. I've been there. So I'm troubled by that. I'm really confused about what the occupants really ought to be based on the code and what's going on out there. And admittedly, you said you've got more tables and chairs in there than in accordance to the occupancy. So I have a problem as a planning commissioner approving this when I know that the occupancy is being violated.
Well, that's a code enforcement issue, too. more than that.
Well, but it's being presented to us as that amount of occupancy, and then in the reality, it's much greater than that. And then they want to have alcohol, and then they want to have entertainment, and I'm uncomfortable with an applicant coming in front of us asking for those things when they're not abiding with the local occupancy code. And it's troubling me, and I'd like to know what the city's position is on this.
Well, a little bit of background history. So their occupancy came from their original approval that they did when they originally put the business in. And the applicant agreed, and we made them well aware of that time when they went through the DMT process, that they would be limited to this amount of seats. And Building and Safety was very clear on that. The applicant had agreed to uphold that occupancy level and had informed us, as their right, that, you know, they were okay with that occupancy and felt that they would have a viable business. You're absolutely right that they've had more tables out there, and when staff went out to do the inspection, we made the applicant aware, you have too many tables here. You're going to need to reduce it down to 4 again. So they have that existing minor conditional use permit in place for the beer and wine. What's before you tonight is to add the live entertainment, non-amplified, and the alcohol, and we would put that burden back on the applicant to say, you still have this condition of approval of only the amount of occupancy that's permitted, and he needs to agree to that he can hold to that. If he can't, and he wants to increase it, he does need to talk to our Building and Safety Division, because it really is a building and safety issue.
Okay, then I have a question for the applicant. Do you agree to, if we were to approve this application for the entertainment and for the alcohol permit, or do you agree that your occupancy will be limited to 8?
I will agree. We can limit it to 8. But the problem is what I had before. I said as we grew in popularity, more people started coming in, and the restaurant just got full. And I said so the only other, you know, my solution to that is to expand the restaurant. I said we're trying to buy the building. We are going to expand it. You know, I can reduce it to 8 as it was when we started, but the problem was that people just come to the restaurant. I just don't.
Yeah, they do.
People just come to the restaurant.
Well, you're going to have to live with what you're conditioned for, that's for sure.
Then I take your answer is that yes, you will live with that.
Yes, the 8 seats, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Zhu.
Yeah, I very much want to support our family business, a small business in town, but the fact that we exceeded what you were allowed, and now you come with the application with the understanding that you would use some speaker. This understanding is not in line with what the city allows, and also the fact that you had more table, more people there, and you know that you're not going to be able to reject people and limit your occupancy at 8. Let me ask the staff first. We have some exemption or waiver for outdoor seating up to 8 seats. Does that apply here?
Do you want to take it? Yes, for parking, it does. Whenever you have outdoor seating based on the number of seats inside, you can have parking waivers. Again, this occupancy isn't being restricted by anything in the zoning ordinance. This occupancy is being restricted by the building code.
Okay, even for the outdoor?
Even for the outdoor, yes.
The establishment's limited by the plumbing issues there.
Okay. And also, staff member, when you go to the alley and you said the sound was not audible at the edge of the alley, what was the sound they played?
Cliff was the staff that was on
Yeah,
site.
I can add to that. Harold and I and Adam Matamian, our code compliance division, did go out there, and we just, I don't know if it was hip hop or whatever it was some type of music that was playing. Turned it up to a point where it was very, very loud. Was it hip hop? I don't know if it matters, but it was loud, and had them close the front door, and then we listened to the sound from out on the sidewalk, and we concluded that the cars driving by were actually louder than the noise that we heard with the door closed. And then we proceeded to the back alley, and we could not actually hear the music and the back alley portion. So that's what staff did to try and determine whether or not we'd actually be able to hear a non-amplified instrument. So wasn't the most scientific, but it was something that we felt as though with our code compliance supervisor that we wouldn't have complaints from the residences in the area.
So amplified music was played. It was not live entertainment like people singing without any amplification.
No, it was something that was either on the radio or something that was on the CD.
Our code compliance officer has those sound meter, and you didn't use it.
No, we basically utilized common sense as to we had the music at a point where we thought it exceeded what any acoustical instrument could achieve at what we thought was an appropriate level, but it was not scientific.
Thank you.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so Linda, if I may, so can you, again, getting back to my first question about this area here, can you tell me, is this part of the project area? It is not part of
No, it's not part of the project
Okay.
area.
Is this line right here, if you also continue this down, would it be fair to say this would still be kind of within the scope of the project area, footprint, if you will, this whole area here?
For the portion of Suite A,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say yes.
Okay. And do we have any pictures on file of the frontage of this use, the sidewalk area? Maybe from the old case? That's all we have?
Correct.
Okay. Well, what's there now is dirt. It's unsightly, and I'm wondering, I ask about that area because we'll bring it into discussion later, but I just wanted some clarification on where that line ends and what part of that planner area would be under the responsibility of the tenant, potentially, under this use permit proposal. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of staff or the applicant? Okay, with that, we'll open up the public hearing. Is there anybody?
Excuse me, I just want to say one last thing, and you might be thinking, well, if he's looking at buying the building, expanding, why didn't he wait till did that to put the application in? And the reason is we put an application with the ABC to acquire our full alcohol license, and we won the lottery, and we're fortunate enough to get that. So, and that the approval of that, how difficult that is to get, and approval of getting the license from the ABC is getting a conditional use permit. Otherwise, I would have waited till we bought the building, we expand and do everything. So it's kind of this is just thinking
Use, you
ahead.
lose.
Pardon?
You have to use it or you lose it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Freddie.
thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to comment on this? Do we have any speaker cards? That will close the public hearing and enter into discussion. Mr. Crandall?
Yeah, I just want to reaffirm that the resolution we're looking at tonight is strictly for the ability to have the liquor license and serve the liquor, and acoustical music only. It's not for any improvements or change in occupancy or all. And I think we need to limit ourselves to the scope of what's being asked for here today. And I can find the findings to approve it only on the basis that they aren't changing occupancy. Those rules are in place. If we haven't enforced them in the past, we should in the future. But I'm comfortable with what is here, and I could support the project.
I'll make a few comments also. I kind of agree with Bart on that the findings we're asked to make here are exactly that. And I would like to remind everybody we have conditions 15, 16, and 17, which are non-amplified live entertainment shall be conducted to certain hours inside the restaurant showed on the approved plans as part of the CUP. That's 15. 16, At any time during permitted hours, non-amplified loud music shall be set up only in one of the music locations as specified in the approved plan submitted as a part of the CUP. And condition 17 is all exterior windows and doors shall be kept closed when the non-amplified live entertainment is being conducted. So I think then 18 is also inventive. Noise impacts from the neighborhood, the tenant must soundproof the facility to the best or use other best management practices determined by the city planner to eliminate the problem and comply with the city's adopted noise ordinance. So those 4 conditions are fairly well, I think, restrictive enough that we have the box built and code enforcement has the tools to go in. It's just a matter of code enforcement being notified. That's kind of my position, similar to Commissioner Crandall's. With that, we'll go to Commissioner Wu.
I like live entertainment. It makes the experience so much more better, so much better. And I like to see this type of improvement in North Beach area. However, because of the existing condition with overcrowded, with too many people there, I'm not confident that the applicant will follow this condition. However, you write it down. I'm willing to support to extend the alcohol hours, but I don't feel that the amplified, the acoustical entertainment application is appropriate at this moment to be accepted. I'd like the applicant to come back with some revision or change to the building that allows the restaurant to accommodate more people. Because by approving that, we're creating a situation, we're making the potential code violation, we'll make it worse.
So which finding can you not make then, or that we've been asked to make?
The potential impact to the neighborhood about the acoustical. Proposed use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or material injuries to properties and improvement in the vicinity. Finding C.
Okay.
I'm not there.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
I'm uncomfortable approving this. I think, we've talked about conditional use permits lying with the building going forward. And here we have a building that has an occupancy issue that's not being lived up to. And for the applicant to come to say that, well, just because of certain circumstances now I want to do all of this other stuff and I will fix it later downstream, that doesn't cook with me, okay? It doesn't work. And I suggest that if they want to come forward with a conditional use permit on these issues, that they have to abide by the occupancy permit, which they're not doing. And so if we were to approve this, I would only do it under the condition that if they don't abide by the occupancy permit, that they lose the conditional use permit, that it doesn't stay after we approve it. Because I'm not about to approve it and then have them turn around and put more people in this building. So I like these folks. I think the restaurant's great. I love the North Beach renovations. I like the food. I hang out there myself, but we've taken this one step too far, so I have to condition it.
So you have something more to say, Commissioner Wood?
No.
Commissioner Blackwell?
Yes, yeah, I too support the project in many ways. I think it's a great addition to this part of town along El Camino Real. It's a vibrant use, and I'd like to see that continue for many years. However, I do believe that these operators would want to maintain their good corporate citizen status and really invest in the property. Clearly, the applicant has stated his intent to buy the building and do some significant improvements. And I think it's reasonable through the review of a conditional use permit, and maybe legal could weigh in on this after, that we do consider reasonable conditions to, at this time, to improve the property, where reasonable and when reasonable. And just doing a sidewalk survey myself, I just noted some decline at the edge of the sidewalk. The building is in disrepair. It's in a degraded state. The landscaping is just non-existent. It's just dirt and cigarette butts, basically. It's an eyesore. Along this part of El Camino Real, I think it's important that we consider an improvement that would actually improve the use to an extent that is reasonable at this point in time. Maybe in the future we look at more significant improvements when an application is presented to us, but right now I think anything we can do in addition to supporting the applicant's request, utilize our police powers to enforce any occupancy issues and allow the proposal to continue on without amplification, but some minor aesthetic improvements I think would be a reasonable approach here.
Those are kind of like tenant improvement issues from the property owner, I guess, is some of the limitations here, which we're faced with here, I guess, which is it's kind of tough.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the conditions of approval are governed by two cases and their progeny. It's the Nolan case and the Dolan case, and those cases stand for the principle that there must be an essential nexus or a connection between the issue being conditioned and the entitlement being requested, or the impact that results. So the question for the Commission is whether there is a connection between aesthetic improvements and a request for amplified sound and alcohol, or better said, the impacts resulting from amplified sound and alcohol. If a connection can be found and findings can be made to support that connection, then the condition can be approved. If not, then the condition could be challenged.
You have to have that linkage.
Yeah. Would it be reasonable to say that improving the use, bringing more attraction to restaurant goers would increase revenue, thus creating a rough proportionality to a minor improvement, say landscaping?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, again, the connection needs to be between the impact
of the conditions
and the exactions. So here, the impact's going to result from the additional sale of hard liquor and resulting from non-amplified music. So any conditions imposed have to be connected to those impacts, have to mitigate those impacts. That's really what you're looking at.
Right. Not particularly aesthetic improvements of the building, but whatever mitigates the actual sound or the liquor or the request.
If the aesthetic improvements mitigated the impact of
you
sound,
have to make that connection.
That's correct.
Which is very difficult, I think.
So the rule of rough proportionality would not apply to this?
Yeah.
Not at
It
all.
all depends on whether you can make those findings.
Yeah.
That could be a stretch.
That's a tough stretch. Commissioner Eggles.
Thank you.
First of all, I think it's important in the future for the planning department to define what is acoustical sound versus amplified sound. Acoustical sound is without a microphone and without a speaker. Conditional use permits run with the land. They are very important conditional use permits that we have here, and I don't think, and while we're tasked with certain things here, I don't think we can put blinders on to the fact that with alcohol, with additional alcohol sales and hard liquor and music, that in fact more people are not going to be coming to this facility. And to me, more people coming to this facility means that they're going to be standing in line, because at this point they're only allowed 8 seats. It just doesn't make common sense to me that we, in fact, would go ahead and approve this project, approve this conditional use permit, with knowing that, in fact, that increased sales, increased opportunity for hard liquor and music will not attract more people when they only have 8 permitted seats in there. I love the restaurant. It's wonderful. The building is has some deficiencies, to say the least, and also the adjoining building has some deficiencies. I don't see how this can be supported at this time. I really don't.
So what's on the
I think it's important that they come back to us when in fact they have had the opportunity to correct some of these problems. I'm always of the opinion that when they are in violation of their current conditions, that we then go ahead and allow that allow an additional conditional use permit type of situation to go on. I'm really troubled by this. I want to see more seats in there, but they have to do some health and building safety issues before they can do that. And some of the conditions here, for example, on the resolution, on B, for example, the site is suitable for the type of intensity of the on-site sale and indoor-outdoor consumption of a full range of alcohol beverages and indoor live entertainment with no amplified sound. That's a stretch for me because of the intensity. And then C, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of them and materially injurious to properties and improvements in the vicinity. I just don't see how we can approve something like this at this time. We can't put blinders on as planning commissioners because we're just tasked with one thing here. I'm just troubled by it.
Mr. Crandall.
Yeah, I'll just kind of restate, hopefully in different words than what I did the first time. I still think,
Are you done?
I can't find findings that I can actually deny it on, because they're only asking for two things, the alcohol and the music. There's a reason this is a conditional use permit and not a use permit, is because if they violate it, they lose it. And if in the past they violated and nothing's been done, that's bad on us. We didn't enforce the rules. And so saying that the intensity is going to be increased, it's not supposed to be. If they let it, they lose it. I mean, we're speculating on what might happen in the future, and we're speculating on how the applicant runs their business. And that's not something that is within our purview.
Speculation is not a part of the business.
Speculation isn't part of the business. So I find that I don't see that we should evaluate their business plan and say they can't support it on the number of seats. They say they can. That's their call, not ours. So once again, I'll state that I'm in support of the project and would hope that we follow the rules and vote accordingly.
I don't see why we always put our code enforcement department in the position of having to enforce things over and over and over again. And I think what we're doing is putting them in the position of failure here.
We put the owner in
I'm still speaking.
Okay.
I think we're putting them in a position of failure here because what's going to happen, I don't care if we can't speculate or not, because what has happened in the past has been that they've had more seats in there, and it just seems to me that we're putting them in a position of failure. And we can't put blinders onto this, and that's what we're doing here. And I'm very troubled by this. I really am.
Well, they're the ones that are at risk, I think, as far as additional, we all know we've gone through a resurgence of more code enforcement in this town, hiring up the entire division over there through the matrix study, and there's we're a lot more tuned to code enforcement now than we were a year ago, and we've fleshed it out. They're the ones that are at risk to lose their CUP through code enforcement action. Now, are all our conditions here strong enough that through code enforcement they can revoke the CUP? There is a process for doing that, but it's very lengthy. Could you explain that to us, city planner?
Yes, so there are conditions of approval. The applicant has to agree to doing those conditions of approval. If there were a complaint, then the Code Enforcement Division would go out there and do an inspection of the facility. Because the concern is of additional seats, if I can, maybe we do a review of the site after 6 months and go in and check and see if they're, still operating with that amount of seats inside. And if not, then we can alert code enforcement and also potentially look at the revocation of the conditional use permit if they can't meet those conditions. But really, that's what would ultimately happen is if they don't comply with the conditions of approval, they run the risk of their CUP being revoked, as Chair Brown stated.
Commissioner Wu.
I'm with Commissioner Eggleston on the reasoning. I think I cannot speculate what they're going to do, but I'm confident to say that it's more likely than not that the situation will get worse if we approve it. So for that reason, we cannot keep a blind eye on those things, knowing that it's likely to get worse for the public safety and for the public interest issue. I was about to say no to both requests, but I'm willing to consider the alcoholic request. Given that it's time sensitive and they just won a lottery, it's a good chance to, if they don't use it, they're going to lose it. But I'm not going to support the acoustic music anyway.
So you would support the liquor license, but not the acoustical music? Is that what you're saying? Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Well, I agree with Wayne. I'm not going to support this as well. And I think that if the applicant really wants to do the right thing, the applicant should fix this problem before they come in front of us. I think it puts us in a very awkward situation to try to help you when we have a violation in front of us. It's, I think as Wayne said, I can't make an approval of this with blinders on. And in the best of good faith, I cannot do that. I suggest rather than waiting six months and then go checking on these people to see if they're in violation and to find out that we're going to have a heap of problems back then, because there's no way this is going to operate with 8 people. It's just not going to do it. Let's not fool ourselves here, folks. This needs to get fixed before they want to come and do the alcohol and the entertainment. Let's make this a win-win solution rather than a lose-lose solution. So I am not going to support it as it stands right now.
Does anybody want to have more discussion on Commissioner Wu's suggestion about, okay, it's okay for the liquor license, but not for amplified sound?
Could we ask the applicant if they would accept having us judge on the project without the acoustical music at this time and just the alcohol change?
Yes, I would really appreciate that because, as Mr. Wu said, it is time sensitive. I don't want to lose that opportunity. My goal is here to grow the restaurant. I mean, it's been well received by the community. It's been well received by everyone in San Clemente. We've been very blessed by that. We can, just take it slow. I said, I'm trying to purchase a building, and I will make that happen. It's kind of important for us because the restaurant's been so successful, and so it's been my mom's dream. And all my family works, so I think I'm the one who's there the least, just because I'm my other business. So I'm trying to do everything to make the restaurant go on and keep going forward in the future.
Okay. So the applicant is then willing to forego amplified or any non-amplified music of any type, but just go with the liquor license change. Is that amenable to any other of the commissioners?
Sure. But I'm still not going to be able to support that.
Okay.
I think that I'm very sorry that, I'm sorry this is before us this evening. I think it's a very incomplete. I think that it's, as Michael says, it doesn't do us a favor at this point, bringing it forward to us. I think that with the alcohol, the addition of alcohol, it's just going to be, it just increases the desire for more people to be there over and over again, and with 8 seats, and Again, I just feel most uncomfortable about this. They really need to fix the health and safety issues of the building first and foremost before they bring this to us. And you mentioned something about bathrooms, is that right?
Yeah, I believe that it's the fixture, yeah.
So it's the fixtures that really need to be brought to us as far as...
in the bathroom?
It's it's funny because when we were going through this, so there's two different codes. There's a building code and there's a plumbing code. And per the building code, we had met all of the requirements and we could have more seating than we do now. And then when we were going through the process, then I forgot who the plan check was at that time, but then down the line he brought up, well, there's also another code that's more restrictive. And it's the plumbing code, and we're going to use that one to gauge this restaurant on what in your occupancy.
So the plumbing code is a restriction?
It's a plumbing code. It's based on, I honestly, I really don't understand it, but it's based on the amount of fixtures in the restaurant.
Then, to me, it seems that that needs to be fixed first before this application comes before us.
I have another question about your alcohol.
Yes.
The report says the approved minor condition permit allowed for the sales of beer and wine for on-site consumption. So this proposal is to extend the hours of operation by an hour. But you did not have an alcohol license.
We had just beer and wine.
We had beer and
Beer
wine.
and wine.
Beer and wine.
For 3 years.
And then now you're asking
Just hard
hard liquor
And like I
and
said,
longer. Okay.
and like I said, the plan is to look more in the future. I said that the restaurant's small, it's very limited, so it's not like we're going to be serving a lot more people than we do now. I mean, it's a family restaurant. If I show you the sales, I'd say about 85% is all food-based. Very, very little of it is alcohol. People are foodies. They come to a restaurant for the food more than anything.
For the alcohol, I consider that an incremental thing. They already have some license, now they're expanding it and extend it slightly. So, given the, I'm willing to support the family and the small business in town to improve the North Beach area. So I'm willing to support that portion of the proposal.
Okay, thank you. Cliff, you have something to...
Yes, if I could, please. Commissioners, I'd like to suggest that we continue this item. The reason being is I just spoke with Bill King, and he has indicated that some of the codes, building code related, have changed. What I'd like to do is bring back to you a clearer picture as to what their maximum occupancy can be. Perhaps that might alleviate some of the concerns, because I think that they actually may be allowed to have more seats now than they could previously due to this the code change. So I would suggest that we continue this and bring it back with a complete application.
Sure. Mr.
Chair Brown. Yes, and I'd like to ask if it is the will of the commission to continue this item, that we direct staff to ask the applicant to clean up their exhibits for the record, just to correct the errors that are in the record now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little confusing. Some of the language in the drawing should be corrected. Thank you.
Okay, so let's... Do we have a motion to continue?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah.
Cliff, I think that's a great idea, and I think that it does need to be re-examined before it comes to us again. And when it does, I think we really need to get some of the minutia clearly understood. What is the issue? What do they need to do to raise the occupancy? If the occupancy can raise, how high can it go? How many people can actually fit in that space safely? It's a small little restaurant, and so there's a lot of stuff here that we want to be able to do the right thing. We want to be able to support a project and have safe environment and have an operator that runs with the code, and we want to be able to be a planning commission that makes a decision based on the facts. So I really like that suggestion a lot.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll entertain a motion to continue.
I make a movement.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wu, a second by Commissioner Eggleston, I believe, or was that you, Mr. Eggleston, to continue this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pardon me?
I just clarified it's a table because we're not
Table.
continuing it to a date certain.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll table it. It's a motion to table. You want us to revote? Okay, thank you. We've tabled. Okay, thank you very much. With that, we go to item 8C, which is C Pointe. Conditional use permit 17055, staff waiver for a minor architectural permit 17133, C Pointe Estates Pocket Park. Mr. Wright, good to see you again.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Chris Wright, Project Planner. This is a request by the Sea Point Estates Homeowners Association to propose a pocket park on 14 Cantilena in the Sea Point Estates gated community. The proposed hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. or dusk, whichever is sooner. They propose a bocce ball court, putting green, and a shade structure, which is 10 feet, pergola with materials to match the entrance to the community. There would be signage on the site at the entrance, the street entrance, to note those hours and the restrictions that are imposed by the Homeowners Association, which would be enforced by that organization, that they understand that they would be the primary means of enforcement of the rules in the community. The project meets development standards, height for the pergola, the setbacks, the landscaping. Parking, there is not a parking standard. So when there's not a parking standard in the zoning ordinance, it directs in this case, the Planning Commission to make a finding of which use this proposal is most similar to and apply that parking standard. There's a precedent in San Clemente of not requiring off-street parking spaces for pocket parks. There's numerous pocket parks that staff took a look at in the community and confirmed that. There's on-street parking near this site. It's gated, so staff isn't anticipating a large traffic presence here. It's anticipated that, like most pocket parks, people would be walking, taking golf carts in this area, or just walking, bicycling to the site. With the hours of operations, noise is not a major concern. This is during a time of the day when the ambient noise level is higher, and that's consistent with the noise ordinance. So when noise travels not as far, that's the duration of the day in which they're proposing to operate this park. The traffic and other type of land use impacts would be the same, if not less, than the uses that are already allowed on the site by right, the residential use that is anticipated in the general plan environmental impact report. So staff doesn't have any concerns with traffic, and based on those findings, staff can support this application. And that concludes my application, my presentation.
Do we have any questions of staff by the commission? Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you. Chris, did this go through the HOA review process, design review?
Yes.
It was approved. Is there a conceptual or rendering of the pergola?
It is. It's actually in the packet. So it's attachment 6, and it's the last page. Last page.
Okay. So
And then there's a materials board I took a picture of, included. That is attachment 4.
I didn't get the pergola in my packet. No.
Oh, you didn't? Here to me.
It's on the fold house.
Oh, it is? Do we have a,
It's right here. Not a rendering, just a site.
This is an architectural plan.
oh, yeah, I don't have a.
4 posts and a trestle. Prowess?
Here's the details, just upside down, yeah.
It's not.
Okay. But the materials are gonna match the entry area, kind of stacked stone and all that.
That's right. And there, like I mentioned, there's a picture if you want to see what the materials look like. you want to see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
It's in the-
so
it's in the
that
package
is
also.
attachment 4 to the report.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah, okay. So this, and just to be clear, this is a private street, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
A private community? Yeah, okay. And no lighting is being proposed at this time, but in the future, there may be a proposal for lighting?
Yes, we asked the applicant about that. There's no proposal right now, but anticipating that maybe someday there may be a need for lighting or a desire, then there's a condition in there that the lighting would be directed, shielded downward, consistent with city's dark skies or policies.
Right, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's condition number 9. And also, if you look at the property there, right where the sewer run is, where I think where they're going to have their entrance, there is actually a street light there when I look at the property. Commissioner Wu, you have a question of staff?
Yeah, question, Chris. This is still RL 18 zone, right?
Yes,
It's not being rezoned to private open space?
that's correct.
No.
It's not a rezoning proposal. So
Okay.
this site is zoned for residential, but there's been geotechnical issues on the site. So
Right.
this allows in the future, if there was any desire to develop a home, then they would retain that ability. But this is seen as a means to maintain the site and use it
Okay.
as encouraged by the general
I
plan.
think it's been deeded to the HOA is what.
That's right.
In the development standards on page 3, and that's the development standards for RL 18 zone,
That's right.
except that parking is not a requirement from RL 18.
There's no
There's no
parking
parking,
standard
so, okay.
in the zoning ordinance for pocket parks.
Okay.
So there's a specific call out in the zoning ordinance when that happens. It directs.
Now,
There are city pocket parks that have no.
Yeah.
you said a pocket park are typically accessed by walking or bicycles. Is that the same case for this neighborhood?
Yeah.
To walk to this pocket park, how long does it take?
It depends on the home. And there's more than one recreational use in this community. So most likely the main users, I mean, we can only speculate, but I would imagine that the people most likely to be using it would be closer to the park. But it doesn't preclude people further away from using it.
Okay, because from the top of the hill, they're not going to walk there. Well, it's hard to walk. Okay.
If they don't walk or
They drive.
bicycle, there is on-street parking, and in some cases, there's more than 2 parking spaces on each property,
Okay.
as required by the zoning ordinance.
And what's happening to the neighboring vacant lot?
It's remaining vacant for the time being.
There's several lots up there in that whole estate that have not been developed, as a matter of fact.
Well, okay, both 14 and 16 have similar constraints, the geotechnical constraints. So it would be costly and more challenging to develop these properties, and that's why they were deeded to the HOA and haven't been developed since.
There's one recreation center in the thing that I know of, 'cause I
Yes.
saw it today, or the other day when I was in. There's a pool tennis court complex. It's not too far away. I don't know if there's 2 up there, but I know there's one for sure. Pretty nice development further up Cortina Lane, I think. Mr. Smith?
Chris, fill us in here. I want to make sure I understand this. We're approving a conditional use permit that runs with the land or a pocket park. And then you said, but that could change in the future and somebody could develop that with a house. How would that work?
This site is zoned for a house. So that's the primary intended use in the zoning district, but it doesn't preclude a recreational use like this if you get a conditional use permit. So if at some point the homeowners association, wishes to sell the property to somebody or raise revenue by going through a process that people normally would to develop property and want to provide geotechnical studies and beef up the site to provide for development, then they can choose to do that and remove the pocket park. There's nothing precluding that from happening.
Okay, so the HOA in this situation rules the future development so that if I lived up there and I saw this pocket park go in and I was all excited about it because I love bocce ball or whatever, I wouldn't really have the means to be upset later on than if it disappeared and then a house popped up there, right?
Well, you could show up at the community board meeting if there was
The HOA
some
is going to
process.
rule that judgment. Is that, that's
Well,
what
they'd have to
you're
vote
telling
on it, yeah.
That's right.
me? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of staff over here? Is the applicant available here by
Yes, he
anybody
is.
from the HOA? Would you like to care to make any discussion?
All the residents looking forward to the pocket
Please come
park.
forward,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just so they can hear you.
state your name.
I'm David Abernathy with the Board of Directors of Sea Point Estates Homeowners Association. And basically, all of us are kind of excited about having a small recreational facility, low-impact stuff. And we hope that you guys can approve this. We're ready to start construction, so I'll leave it to you, gentlemen.
Any questions of the applicant at all over here? Okay, thank you very much for your time. I know you've been waiting a long time. With that, I'll open the public hearing, and I don't think there's anybody available for discussion. I'll close the public hearing and enter into discussion or a motion. Your light's on?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful community there, and I think that a pocket park there is very well needed in that area, and I'm fully supportive of this project.
Mr. Smith?
If there was no further discussion, I would like to move that we approve resolution number PC 17-015.
Second.
Well, wait, we have to, okay, why don't we read the entire thing for the record?
Yeah. I move that we approve resolution number PC 17-015, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Clemente, California, approving conditional use permit 17-055, staff waiver of minor architectural permit 17-133, Sea Point Estates Pocket Park, a request to develop a structure on a vacant lot in the private gated Sea Point Estates community located at 14 Cantonella.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 6-0. Hey, congratulations. With that, let's take a quick 5 or 6 minute break, and then we'll come back for the Capital Improvement Program consistency issue. Chris getting some early votes. Back in session for new business, item 9, capital improvement program, annual update and consistency finding. The indubitable Christopher Wright.
Good evening. This is a request of staff to have the Planning Commission make a finding on whether the capital improvement projects, and this annual update, is consistent with policies in the general plan. This is an annual part of the process in updating the capital improvement program. It's required by state law that the city's planning agency, which is the Planning Commission for San Clemente, to make this finding. And the capital improvement program includes projects that are identified by the city council through the budget process that are over $25,000, include the actual capital projects, purchasing of property or equipment on a number of items. Also, the projects are based on recommendations from staff with various expertise, and those projects typically occur over multiple years. And so there's an attachment that includes a list of those projects as well as project sheets that give a project description and a general map that shows where those projects are proposed. And the projects the city council's role is to create this project list with staff. And the planning commission's role is limited tonight, the purpose why we're here is limited to making a finding of whether the project is consistent with the general plan, and that's it. So staff is here to answer any questions, but encourages the commission to focus on that role. And that concludes my presentation.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, this says 2017, 2018. Have any of these projects started?
Some of these projects are multi-year, so yes, some of them, I don't know the projects very well, but it is a multi-year program. Ken Natz, one of our engineers, can answer a question if there's a particular project.
Would it be defined as starting like in June, though? In the period of 2017, is that when that would start? Or I'm just kind of curious about the date and the time and the place that we're at.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ken Natz, Principal Civil Engineer, Asset Manager. To answer your question, Commissioner Smith, basically what this does is it funds the projects. It allows funding to come into the budget July 1 of the new fiscal year.
July 1.
So in regards to whether the projects are in their first year, second year, I think it's a given that most projects that end up in this program become two-year projects based on, the regulatory processes and the public bid processes and just the management of the project that has to occur, because no matter the size of the project, the methodology and the delivery is typically the same. But to get back to your question, yes, a few of these are multi-year projects. Some of them are started. I don't know off the top of my head which ones. If you have any specific questions, I can shoot from the hip. I have most of the information, but keep in mind, I'm a coordinator to try to collaborate all this amongst all the CIP engineering project managers.
I think you answered my question, so thank you very much.
I would like to make a comment to staff that I think one of these in here, I forget about it. It's for the first time in 40 years, we're going to do some alleys.
Yes.
And I compliment people finally stepping forward, because our alleys look like East Beirut or South Cairo, and I've been in both. So I compliment staff for coming through and starting with a couple of alleys. Keep it up. It might have been the fact that the last major zoning 800-page effort, we actually put them in a zone since they were in la-la land, but I'm certainly glad that Public Works is stepping up to the plate, and we're actually going to look at alleys. You got two of them in this particular SIP, and I'm just ecstatic.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Kudos back to the gang. Okay.
If I may, a big component of the street improvement program for the last 15 years, alleys were not included. It was a big point of controversy. And
they were never part of the street assessment.
They were never part of the street improvement program, the street assessment that happened. And so what happened was the public came to comment to council about the various projects and just kind of the collaborative effort of the community. A couple of these hot items got presented to the council, and so it kind of spotlighted the issue, and staff made basically made the move to make sure those were included, because we do agree with your assessment of some of those alleys, Commissioner Brown.
Commissioner Wu, you have a question?
Yes, Ken. Just out of curiosity, for item 55, beach trail steel bridges maintenance, you mentioned quite a lot of rust underneath the bridge. Steel, are we using hot dip to galvanize the steel? What type of material do we use?
I don't know the specifics, Commissioner Wu. My gut feeling on this is that they're coated with some sort of epoxy or polyurethane coating to protect them from the corrosive marine environment. With respect to what type of the ferrous metal is, I really don't know. If you're really curious, we can follow up with you individually and tell you. My gut feeling is that they are, it's some type of steel.
Okay.
But what sort of treatment it has coming out of the factory, I do not know.
They need maintenance, so everybody knows that.
That is correct.
It looks like we had this item last year too.
That is correct.
So
that was a couple of other bridges they did. Now these are separate bridges. So.
It appears that we did not use the most durable, of course, it's durable material for
Well, the Beach Trail bridges have been there for like 10 years now, and it's about time we started maintenance. We probably should have started 10 years ago. They've been
Yeah,
working-
there's a few of them that have been worked on, and my understanding is there's one more. I believe at Mariposa is the next
That's
one
the long one, yeah.
to get done. And you're correct that there was some funding added last year, or the project started last year, and we're supplementing the funding to finish the rest of the bridges out there.
Commissioner Smith, you have another
I
question?
do. I have one that's near and dear. The sidewalk access improvement to Shore Cliffs Middle School. Could you give us a quick snapshot of the scope of that project?
Commissioner Smith, I wish I could go into detail. My knowledge on the project is likely less than yours with regards to reading the project description. Again, any specifics, I'd be happy to follow up with you indirectly, or we could forward a comment to the city council.
I suggest you just contact Tom Frank, the city traffic engineer. He's the guy that puts together, that's a safe route to school.
That is part of the safe routes to school. The 777,000, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because.
Just send him an email direct.
I don't know if that's the sidewalks, including Cascadita, or just at the top of the hill, but the sidewalks are narrow, and there's lots of kids going up and down that hill. I live right in the middle of that, so I am curious about what's going to happen, because it's a big outflow at the beginning and the end. Everybody's and everybody's down, and it's a tight little narrow spot. And,
So-
Pretty good size project.
So,
Yeah, that's partially funded with revenue, grant revenue. I mean, I think a big
It's
component
safe
of
route
it's
to
grant
schools,
revenue.
grant
That is
federal
correct. Again, what we could do is we could let the council know the planning commission's question, and in the budget workshop on Monday, we could forward an answer.
or email me, I'd be,
I would suggest you just reach out on city email direct to Tom Frank yourself. He probably could flesh you completely out.
Chair, if
You're busy.
If I may, just to make sure that we fulfill our task tonight.
Yeah, we're just here.
And make sure that these findings are made. It might be easier if any of the planning commissioners have concerns, if any of these projects don't comply with the general plan policies, to go ahead and flag those and we can discuss them. Otherwise, if everybody,
I don't think, does anybody have concern about consistency here?
I found that it could all meet the general plan requirements.
Mr. Smith, you do, okay, you're good? Mr. Wu, okay? It is late? No, I think,
So do we need to
make a motion.
make a motion here? I move we approve resolution PC 17010, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Clemente, California, finding fiscal year 2017-2018 capital improvement program is consistent with the San Clemente general plan.
Have a motion, okay, by Mr. Crandall, second by Mr. Wu, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0 with 2 people now absent.
Thank you, commissioners.
With that, and both of you. Well, the SIP process starts early. This is probably, when does it really start? When do the inputs really start for the SIP? Like September, October even?
yeah, they start pretty early. It feels like right when we wrap up one budget, we start diving into the next. Yeah.
Okay, with that, we have item 9.2, Public Safety Task Force appointee. And that's to be part of the Public Safety Task Force, which the council, I think, 2 council members on it, and then there's an outreach to the citizenship to be on it. And so, with that, we need a discussion. Anybody have any police background or anything
Do we
like that?
have a volunteer?
I could volunteer, because I grew up with, my father was a policeman.
I have a question about it.
Yeah, go ahead. He's a deputy chief of police at Glendale. Go ahead, Mike.
Just blanked out now. Let's see, what was my question? When I first read about this in the paper, I thought that they were going to pick people from certain commissions. Is this a planning commissioner, a selection?
That's correct.
Not public at large,
No,
right?
there are going to be public at large members. They'll
This is
interview.
not that.
That's correct.
This is, okay, that's the question I wanted to know.
Okay.
Other than that,
They just want one member, that's all.
other than that, I am interested, so.
It's too interesting, okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested too. I went to a police academy, well, a community police academy in Newport Beach. And then, I think I can add something to the task force by understanding the environmental design and crime prevention from environmental design.
So
It's
we
basically
have 3 people
urban
interested. We
design
have a
type
police
of
academy
perspective.
graduate. For which police academy was this? Irvine?
It's a citizen.
Okay.
Michael, you're putting pressure on the two of us.
Well, then what do we do? So we need there's one spot.
Right, that's correct, just one.
And,
How much money you guys have?
What's the time?
With
the
Eileen
schedule of the
here,
meeting
could we
for this thing?
pull straws for this?
You could do it
For a
at vote
nominee?
if you'd like.
Okay, it has to be by
I guess
vote.
if.
No, we'd vote on it,
if
but-
the 3 of them want to.
There's only one spot.
I'm going to withdraw because
There's only one spot.
Commissioner Wu has the kind of training that I think is appropriate. All I saw was Police Academy, the movie.
No,
City planner.
I just grew up in law enforcement because my father was a policeman, started walking a beat in Glendale, and then retired as a deputy chief of police before we moved down here, so that's where I came from.
Do we know the schedule of the meeting type of thing for this?
No, we don't.
Do we expect it to be daytime, nighttime meeting?
It doesn't state.
Here's also another kicker to it. In about 4 weeks, we may be having to vote for somebody, or somebody else may be having to vote for somebody else.
That's right. I may
Yes,
be
since
off,
we're
so
up.
I'm going to withdraw.
So
Vote for
I would
Commissioner
nominate Don Brown then for that, because he's
That's a good
got
point.
another year.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
He's a year ahead of us.
You have another year.
But you have a good credential and interest.
I'm still good for a year.
Are you going to apply?
But, you know, I did work for the Highway Patrol one summer when I was a college kid. I cleaned cars and stuff.
I thought you were gonna say you were cleaning the side of the freeway.
You do windows, huh? Okay.
Orange outfit.
Okay, let's go with,
Yeah, so
So-
you're nominated, now you can take the vote.
okay, let's take a vote
Need a second.
for the planning commissioner to go to the public safety task force.
And that would be Don
Okay?
Don Brown.
Okay, Crandall says Brown, has got a second for Smith, all in favor?
Aye.
Should I abstain and not vote for myself?
No, it's,
No good.
You get a badge for that?
No, I don't think you get a badge. You get a gold sticker. Okay, we have no old business. Reports of commissioners and staff, anything from the city planner here?
2 things. I just wanted to let everybody know that I came back from the California Historic Preservation Conference this past weekend, which was wonderful. It was held in Pasadena, and they went over quite a number of items as far as rehabilitation and repurposing, and it was quite wonderful. And the best part is getting in touch more with some of our other historic preservation leaders in the county and Orange County. So those are wonderful contacts to make. She was not there, actually, but she was, Jennifer was talked about very fondly. Everybody remembers her and was glad to see that she came back to Orange County. So that was good.
Larry wasn't there.
No, Larry wasn't there either. Yeah, no.
Amber, what's the status of Miramar?
Oh, so that was going to be my next one, is the Miramar is on the schedule for the June 7th Planning Commission meeting. If it pleases the commission, I would like to start that meeting at 6 o'clock and forego the study session. There's a couple traffic items on there too, so if that works, we'll go ahead and put that on the horizon.
You had that email of potential on that same night on the bluff issue? I think.
Yes, that is also scheduled to go that night. Those are the 2 items that night.
Okay, the Miramar and that one?
And the variance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Smith.
After 40 years of the design and construction business, I can no longer find any of my hard hats in the garage. So I understand I have to have a hard hat for Friday's walk.
You don't have to, but we do have them available for you if you would like one. No, I don't believe you don't have to. It's not an active construction site.
What walk is this we're talking about?
This is a Miramar walk, so the remaining planning commissioners who wanted to do a tour of the Miramar are doing it on Friday.
Okay, so those of us who've gone don't have to go
I've
then.
been looking for,
They have hats right, you have helmets. Yep.
We have hats at the office.
what
If
we
you'd
use.
like a hat, we're more than happy to provide
If
it.
you want, get yourself a better breathing mask.
Yes.
than he gives you.
Yeah, definitely.
breathing mask?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's black mold.
There's black mold in there. You will come out of there lightheaded, so get a good breathing mask. I'm serious, it's all over the walls.
Would have been, full disclosure would have been good.
Oh, snorkeling mask.
You know, they-
Yeah,
he
I'm
gets
serious, when
people
Bart and I went through with the architect, you come out of there. In fact, Cliff gave us kind of a heads up.
Yeah.
And you'll come out of there, you'll be kind of lightheaded.
Okay.
Open the door and then.
Yeah, that's the better one, yeah.
And he gave us a pretty extensive walk through it too.
Yeah, they do.
Cancer, just walking through there, just saying.
So, yeah. Okay. Anything from the Coastal Advisory Committee? Okay. There was I'd made my quarterly report to the city council weeks ago, synopsis of our activities, which is, we're the only commission that's required to do that. And we got kind of a go-do from Councilmember Donchek, because the next meeting we're coming up for is the joint meeting. And she'd like each commissioner to come up with like one item that you think was significant that you did on the commission during the last year. It was a kind of a, she snagged me as I tried to walk off the dais. And,
That's called blowing your own horn.
Hopefully we have
you know,
time for that.
I felt I made a contribution because of like SB2 or BRBO, sober living, or whatever.
Tradition of not wearing a tie.
Yeah. Some people come from work, we understand. But anyway, that was kind of a go-do, but remember, this is a reports of all the committee commissions, so you gotta make it brief, like 25 words or less, I think. That was her go-do to us from her, as I tried to get out of the room and didn't get out fast enough, so. That's Councilwoman Donchik's request. So I thought I have dutifully passed it on.
So they're gonna expect each one of us to just stand up? Say,
Yeah, I'll kind of give a report, I think, like the other commissions do. I'll just probably bring a synopsis out of my quarterly reports that I've done over the last year, and I kind of pack it out, make it one line. I try to get up and off the dais in about 5 minutes. I routinely send it to Amber and Cecilia, and I have to give it to the city clerk. And if anything, I'll make copies and bring it for you guys, what I'm going to say, and then you guys will get, and I'll clarify with Laura exactly what the go-do is, but I'll
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's best to just have you individually say it, or if each individual person
I think she wanted,
talks.
let me go back to her.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
I'll
I know
go
they're
direct.
looking at 5 minutes per committee
I
to
want to
speak
really, I know
total.
we have to compress it, so
Yeah.
I'll go back to Lori and say we've got
can't pull
some
it
staff
through.
concerns about the
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah.
Get you guys off the hook. Maybe I'll be your front man. How's that? I noticed we're just adjourning to that. I noticed the council member last night was going to adjourn to this and then further adjourn to their next meeting, which was the 6th of June. But, so I guess we're going to have to do a fancy adjournment when we're there that night to the
Joanne
city.
usually does that, the adjourn to your next.
She usually makes an announcement at the end for the next regular meetings.
Okay. Well, this-
That's June 7th will be
Yeah,
your
it was
next.
June 7th.
At 6 o'clock.
It'll be at 6 o'clock and we're going to be, the first thing on, I guess, will be the Miramar.
There's 2 consent items right now for traffic.
Okay.
That are supposed to be very fast. We've had that discussion, and then
City
Miramar and
Traffic
and the
engineer needs to get
variance.
them through, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The Miramar and then the other issue.
The variance, yeah.
All right.
You might think about, you probably already have, that if Miramar gets extremely lengthy, what would be the next date? We could, even if we call a special meeting.
Yeah,
have
then
to.
that would be July. Oh, if we did a special meeting, then we could do June 28th.
We might want to.
Well, I'm going to consider that based on turnover or applications to the commission and how the thing settles
We could
out.
get it done.
Yeah.
We'll get it down by midnight.
We just
Well, if we have a full dock.
plan on coming and staying a long time?
Yeah.
Are we required to close it by midnight?
No?
No, we can go
During-
until we,
During the general plan, we started at 3 and 4 in the afternoon, and we're meeting weekly, and we went to 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Has the Miramar gone through design review?
Yes.
Yeah, multiple times, what, 4 times, something like that?
mhm.
Seems like I was.
We got a preliminary and then a couple of. And
So
then
it's-
I'll have
I think
walkthroughs then.
Staff
We'll have
and
that by then.
DRC have scrubbed it pretty well, I think, looking at it. But the walkthrough will be illuminating those that haven't done it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great walkthrough to do.
Yeah, it is very
Yeah.
thorough.
Michael, are you going on Friday?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll be there.
What time is
I
it?
don't know about the black mold, but I'll be there.
There's a lot of it, yeah.
It's at 10.
Actually,
I think you guys have-
You got a pair of just cloth gloves. Bring them along.
Yeah, he'll offer you
You'll
some,
be
he'll
going
off,
upstairs and all grabbing things and.
he'll offer you some rubber gloves to
Rubber
put on.
gloves.
They might
Yeah, that's
rip
even
on you,
better.
but you're gonna go upstairs like the projection booth, and you're working, it's a very narrow, steep
Oh, it's-
stairway, and you might wanna grab onto, a handrail.
I'll bring, yeah, I'll be.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
Be
one told
appropriately-
us rubber gloves. No wonder we
did.
were so sick when
yeah. We were pretty lightheaded when we got out of it. Have you been through it?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't get lightheaded, or you're okay? You have special breathing apparatus on or something?
I have a respirator.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a smart move.
Moving right along.
Let's move to adjournment here.
I move we adjourn to the special joint city council commission committees meeting to be held at 7 PM on May 30th, 2017 at the San Clemente Municipal Golf Course, Wedgewood Banquet Room, located at 150 Magdalena, San Clemente, California.
I have a motion to adjourn. I have a second. Somebody? Second by Smith, motion by Crandall. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
2-2.
5-2 absence.
Yeah.
5-2 absence. Thank you.